As you're planning your worship services and thinking through what elements should be included, I don't want to neglect to remind you to go back to God's Word and look at those things. Don't just go back to Appendix N that I suggested in the Thresholds book, but go into God's Word, dig into God's Word about what you see in worship, public worship in the Bible, and try to make a determination about how you can be as faithful as possible in your worship services with the Scripture's teaching. Be able to defend the various service elements that you have in your worship service with biblical principles and teaching that you could use to set forth as the motivation or the reason that you have this particular worship service element. And things like prayer and preaching and music and communion, those are all very common in churches, but someone along the way is going to ask you, why do we do this? Why do we do it that way? And you should be prepared to give an answer, a scriptural answer. It may be that you want to include something in your service that you see in God's Word happening in worship services in the New Testament, but maybe you haven't seen many people do that in their churches. So there are lots of good passages in the New Testament, and some of those are listed in Appendix N. Lots of good passages in the New Testament that will help you look to the New Testament patterns for worship services and help you determine what's best for you and your congregation.